I want to do is just like we did session 1 where we were teaching the leash pressure, meaning to move towards us, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be pairing a tap on the e-collar with that same thing. So I'm going to start walking him around here, and anytime he's distracted by something, what I'm going to do is give a tap on the e-collar with a little bit of a pull on the leash and teach him that this pressure means the same thing as this. So obviously that. There we go. Perfect. So anywhere that pressure is pulling on the leash, we're giving a tap there. Excellent. So you're pressing it simultaneously? Yeah, as I'm giving that pull, I'm giving a tap. So you'll see right there he turned with me, so I didn't need to do it, which is obviously the goal here. So tap, just like that. And what I want to start to see is that he starts just avoiding that pressure by keeping the attention on me like that. So once we hit this point where it's like he's doing it well, I want to just allow him to have a lot of repetitions of being successful, right? So we're just kind of boosting his confidence and doing it correctly at this point. Well, so this is going to be kind of how we start some of our leash walking stuff, because we're obviously going to start transitioning to using the e-collar for that. Off-leash recall work. So basically what we're teaching him right now is that when he feels the tap on the e-collar, it means to turn and come towards us. So whether he's 6 feet away from us on a leash or he's 60 feet away from us off of the leash, it's going to start to mean the same thing to him, right? So what you're going to do in a second is you're going to get up, you're going to start walking around with him here, stay nice and loose on your leash, and just kind of test him, right? Walk around, change direction, a fairly decent amount of slack, because we want to give him the ability to make the decision of like going off and doing something else. And if you do lose him, let's say you're walking this way and he goes all the way off and tries to go to sniff that corner or something, you would give a tap and change direction, right? And that tap will teach him to focus back in on you. So whatever you want, let's give it a whirl. Very good. All right, one more lap around. Looks good. Go ahead and come to a stop. Superstar.
is part, just do the walking around the house.
That's it.
Like we did.
Yeah, or outside. If you got some nice weather, obviously. Yeah, and you may find that he does perfect with it, right? And you don't need to use it aside from maybe once or twice here and there. And that's the goal, right? The goal is if we're establishing a boundary that he understands and is motivated by, he should learn how to avoid it, right? And we shouldn't have to hit the button all the time. So.
Like when you're going for the walk, and the curiosity of wanting to smell something.
Yep.
Like, where do you draw the line between?
Good question. So it just depends on what we're asking him to do in that moment. So it's not that I'm anti-sniffing on the walk by any means, but if we're asking him to focus on us, right? So if we're giving a heel command or a come command or something, the expectation is you got to focus on us, right? If we're telling him he's free, we're telling him, okay, you can do whatever you want to do, right? So you just have to ask yourself, what am I asking him to do right now? So I try to do a balance of the two. Like if I'm going for a walk with my dogs, I'll usually structure it out where I'll start off with some strict stay with me, somewhere in the middle I'll give him some freedom, and then I end with a little bit of strict with me again.
He's kind of dangerous with the big stick. He'll take us out.
And again, weather dependent, but if there's nobody up here, if there are people at the dog beach, because I was thinking for next time.
Yeah.
Because one thing, and I haven't been since we really started training. But
yeah.
That was one thing that he's been good, but when we go to the beach, I pretty much let them off right away. So it'd be interesting to practice keeping a tight heel on the beach.
Sure.
Because normally he is used to just running free. So that would be one of those things where he'd be like, wait, no, Dad, we're here to run around. Like, what do you mean I have to stay close to you?
Yeah, let's head down there then. So you feel like you got some challenge with him and hailing?
Definitely. And I think at the beginning, I was frustrated because, again, I don't remember if this was 2 weeks ago when we talked about it last time, or this week, but I was going, we came to the conclusion that hailing is his biggest, highest value distraction.
Sure.
And I went from keeping them separate when we walked to jumping straight into having them there right as we were learning bubble, and I was frustrated that he wasn't listening. And I realized again, when I'm getting to 30, 35, he's usually the highest he needs, or but then I wasn't thinking that hailing was is such a value that that I haven't used it with. So there was a couple times where I went up to 50, 55, and like I said, he definitely registered and was like, oh, okay. So
yeah.
He's like, if I go to him, then it's really not going to be good. So.
Yeah. We always want our relationship with our dogs to be stronger, the human relationship, dog to human, than the dog to dog relationship. Because although that he can love his brother and they can play and do things, we ultimately want Hazy to drop everything when we're giving those commands, have that stronger connection to us so we can better guide him. So it's good for you to realize that hailing is such a big distraction in his life. And right when we were learning bubble, obviously we want to challenge him, but taking a step back like we did last week, and making sure he understood the command and the expectations associated with it, that was a good session. And we can walk a little bit further from him. I want him to get nice and distracted.
Right.
He's doing too perfect.
I know, yeah. Bubble. No. Bubble.
Good.
Good.
Okay. And try that a couple more times. And
Bubble. He always ends up bringing us.
oh, good job.
Good.
Actual real life training with my dogs. This is something I'll do. I'll come down here and my dog's allowed to go and smell and do whatever she'd like, but just very similar to what we're doing now. The second I say come, I expect her to drop everything and come to me. or I can't allow the freedoms like we're doing now. But since we've put so much work into it and correcting him, we're able to give him a really broad life. And now I'm going to try to really distract him. I'm going to take this stick over here, have him follow me, and I want you to give him the bubble command.
Bubble. Good. Yeah, you were coming in fast, weren't you? Okay. Bubble. Look. Okay. Before, it was just my dependence on him not wanting to be too far from Halen.
Sure.
And like having Halen, you know, his recall is not reliable, but with the, like I would use like the sound on the e-collar and he would mostly come back. But yeah, definitely having that confidence that I know that, you know, that I can trust him or at least getting there.
Yeah. Let's say like we'll walk to that log and then we can release him again.
Okay.
So when you say your bubble, obviously like when you mean it, he's supposed to walk with you in this sense, right near you. And then when you go to release, that's his free time.
Right.
So whether he has a leash on or not, wherever he's at, where there's the most exciting place on earth or a little bit of a scary situation, you're just setting that expectation. It's wonderful.
Hands by the case, Lord. Get the millions and lay low. Take my what I'm gonna wait for. Put my bros on the payroll. Out of sight, out of mind, on my way. Out of sight, out of mind, on my way.
It's so rewarding to be able to see that owners are allowing, like, have good control over their dogs, and he's still allowed to be a dog and dig in the sand and get his nose all sandy, eat sticks and chase after them.
Right.
But it's like when you were giving those commands, he's like, well, I gotta go to my dad now.
Right.
You did such a good job today. I'm so proud of you and your progress. He really looks incredible. Like, it's just those couple details that I have to mention, just for the sake of making sure we're staying on top of everything. So we're just walking him around right now to kind of get him moving with me and get him used to my presence, my body language. The key here is that I'm not allowing him to leave my space. I'm pulling him back in with me. I'm not trying to create a lot of conflict here, which is why we didn't go straight to putting the collars on and off, because he's still iffy about his neck being touched. So we had a King Corso that came in a couple months ago, and he had similar issues where he was just a little sketched out about being handled. And all we did with him for the first couple sessions was just kind of walk around on a slip lead, because we didn't have strong relationship with him yet. He was very sketched out about his neck being touched, and we needed to get a muzzle on and off him smoothly before we were able to touch his neck. So it was a lot of just walking and get him moving with me. Just building a little bit of comfortability with his handler. And eventually we were able to get him used to us like stopping, standing, touching his neck, and eased him into being able to put the muzzle on. So then we were able to confidently put collars on and off. He ate one of the pepperoni, I feel like, unless I'm just imagining it.
They always like the pepperonis.
And even getting him, like with a dog like this, obviously like treats aren't our go-to. But as I think David was mentioning, get him on the slip and get him taking treats. And if he's in a state where he's eating, he's already feeling a little bit more comfortable. If he were not to be taking food at all, it'd be a different story. But you can see he's opening up just a tiny bit and get him used to building that trust with us.
Okay, so what I was getting ready to say there's a couple of things that I do to help keep them successful through this process, right? So even whether they're screwing up a ton, whether they're doing good with it, whatever, the first step is when we give that initial command here, bed. We let it breathe for a minute, and if they are doing it correctly, I'm hanging out here until they totally stabilize before I go walk away. So as they started making more mistakes, you guys started falling into the trap and you would give the command, they would get on, and the second they got on, you were starting to walk the other way before they really committed to the position, right? So it kind of kept them in that state of mind of, are we supposed to stay here? Are we supposed to get up and follow you? And it didn't really allow them to settle too much into things. So once they settle, then I'll go ahead and walk away. And it's not going to guarantee they're not going to get up and try to follow you at that point, but it'll at least reduce the probability that they're going to. Make it a little bit easier for yourself, right? Second thing is, as we're releasing them, I try to follow the same general principles if they were on leash, where I go back, I make sure they're still relatively stable there. Okay, then I release them out of position. And then the third detail, bed. So if they don't do it, like right now she's a little confused right now, she doesn't know exactly what to do. I'm gonna wait until she commits to not making a mistake. No, Sammy, bed. From there, obviously since the leashes aren't on, I need to give as good physical help as I can without the use of the leash, obviously, right? So right there you'll notice that I walked closer towards the bed where there was more space, and I gave a really clear physical gesture towards it to help give her a little bit more direction, right? And then same deal, once they fully stabilize, then I can walk away and position. So all those little handling tweaks, we have to make sure we're really good before we start increasing the levels too much with any of that kind of stuff, right? Or else they're just going to kind of get confused from it. Okay, I'll do one more here. Bed. And waiting until they totally stabilize. Good. Walking away. Okay. Then release it off. Right? And then the same deal would apply, like let's say we were doing it bed with the front door, like a guest is coming over or something like that. So get them situated, wait for them to totally stabilize, but walk away. And this is something you can start practicing at home. Go to your front door. Open the door up, make sure they're still stable. And then obviously we're not going to hold that for 5 minutes, something like that, as the gas came in until the energy level settled. Okay. I'll do one more closer to the door here. Bed. Good. Okay. So a couple things, right? So one of the important things to realize about the end of that session right there is how much our body language and the things that we're doing impacts the success of them. So be very mindful of that. And, you know, especially if they're making a lot of mistakes, the worst thing you can do in that moment is get frustrated, right? So if you get frustrated, that's when, like, you start missing your timing on your no markers, you start moving too fast, you're not being as mindful of those types of things. So always stay in tune with that, obviously. Second part, obviously, you see, right, they did fantastic with this session, literally up into right, everything else they did really, really awesome with today. But we changed the picture, right? We took the leashes off and we said, hey, now we're working these kids without the leashes, and that's a little bit for them to get used to doing, obviously. So, no big deal. Girls, as usual, and they did really great with everything else. So the things they had a hard time with last time, they did great with today. It's just we added more new things. So what I would like to see you guys work on with them in between now and our next session is I would like to see you guys work the 3 commands. So don't worry about doing the off-leash bed stays necessarily, but I want to see bed stays, sit stays, and recalls.